Yeah, well, I just pulled up the Real Clear Politics today based on their interpretation of the electoral map, and it's exactly what you said, that Trump would actually win 287 to 251. So that is something that, in the same way that Republicans have always in recent years lagged behind on early voting, the Democrats lag behind on the electoral strategy. So I do think the mail-in balloting is really the wild card here. And I know Republicans are attempting to play catch up, but as of right now, the Democrats are winning on that. But the overall sense, and this is a question I have for you, Dave. My second question is about the fact that only about 23 or about a quarter of the country, so that means 75% of the country says wrong direction. Only about 25% says the country is going in the right direction. So why is Harris doing that well? That's what I don't understand, because how is she convincing voters to separate her, the woman who was pulling the puppet strings behind Biden? Because if Biden is too weak to run for reelection, but his cognitive decline was so apparent to pretty much everybody, every conservative and every person who was being honest, why is she not getting the blame for cumulative 20% inflation and the fact that today or this week is the 3-year anniversary of the murder of 13 U.S. Marines and heroes? And that was actually when Biden's approval rating, if you trace his approval rating, that was when it tanked, was in August of 2021, and it's never recovered since then. So to me, it seems so deceptive for the Democrats to say that, oh, Harris had nothing to do with this, and somehow when she takes office in January, she'll be able to do what she wants to do. It's like, you're going to do everything you were doing before. How is it that that's even that close?
Well, again, I don't think you can say you're going to be doing everything that you're doing before. I think when you get behind the desk, things are different. Now, I will agree that so far, and obviously time has been their best ally on this because she got into the race so late, there is a disconnect between she's running as the outside candidate or as the challenger, even though she's been in the administration. If she can pull that off, she'll win the election. But I think you have to also remember that the biggest voting bloc in this country is the anti-Trump bloc. So we've talked about on the show before. Her key, in my opinion, to winning is can she just hold Biden's margins with working class whites? He did 5 points better than Hillary did, and with people over 65. If she can do that, I think she can win. But she also has to come across and continue being very, very telegenic. And the economy is getting better. That's why I think the Fed rate cut is going to be so key, because I think that's going to tell people, okay, yeah, we're finally over this. Inflation is finally easing. It's going to be cheaper to get a mortgage, cheaper to get a car loan. So that will definitely help. But I think that she will have to have a little bit of the disconnect, and a lot of it will be her charm and her charisma, and also Trump's flailing. Let's face it, he has just been flailing. In fact, I thought of you because he made a quote yesterday that I thought would never come out. He said that his administration is going to be great for women and their reproductive rights. That's the first person I thought of was you when he said that. He's also been flip-flopping on so many things. The bottom line is he doesn't know how to take her on, right? And he's still fumbling and bumbling for the proper way to engage her, because the usual racism and misogynistic stuff isn't going to work with her. So if you were Trump and you were on his campaign, what strategy would you give him? Because he's clearly flailing. What
Yeah,
advice?
I think he's lost his eye on the ball, because I think he's being distracted by the shiny object, which is Harris, and the rapid. Here's something I would exploit, or not exploit. I would ask why basically Kamala Harris did you engage in elder abuse for the last 3.5 years, especially given that senior voters are some of the most active voters. Why did you throw this senior citizen to the curb? Are you going to do that to seniors because you're bankrupting Medicare Part D in order to pay for your Inflation Reduction Act? They're using the Medicare Part D savings as a piggy bank, which is just horrific. And Harris was the one who cast the tie-breaking vote for that. So make it a senior issue. That's part of it. But more importantly, I think rather than getting distracted by Harris, is he should really run on his record of governance, which was really quite phenomenal for women. For example, women's net worth and their finances were never better than under Trump. And same thing with Black and Latino household wealth. And whereas under Biden and Harris, household wealth has suffered about a $2,000 net loss because of the loss of real wages due to inflation. So people are poorer under Harris. They're less wealthy than under Biden. So he should run on his record. You also had the Abraham Accords. You had Iran being held accountable under Trump. Whereas under Harris, you've had Iran being bankrolled and money being given and sanctions being withdrawn under this failed administration. And that money's been used to bankroll the terrorism by Hezbollah, the Houthis, and also Hamas. So the Middle East is on fire under Harris, but it was peaceful under Trump. Putin invaded. It's not just under Biden. Putin invaded in 2008, I believe. He invaded Georgia under George W. Bush. He invaded Crimea under Obama. He invaded nobody under Trump. And then he invaded now Ukraine under Biden. So one of these things is not like the other. Trump had foreign policy that was robust and peaceful. The world is on fire and bloody under Harris. And so economically, it's the same. The disastrous inflation. It kills me when Harris says things like, oh, it's price gouging. This is price gouging by the companies. It's like, okay, Miss Vice President, why for the last 3.5 years have you allowed this supposed price gouging when the price gouging didn't happen under Trump? Does this mean you are impotent? Because there was like very low, even below the Fed inflation target of inflation under Trump. So are you saying that Trump was way better at preventing price gouging than you were, Miss Vice President? That's basically what she's saying. So from the economy to domestic policy to foreign policy, things were better under Trump. And that would be my advice to Trump. Just, you don't even have to make hypotheticals.
Well, you're a broken record on this thing about how Putin, the one time he didn't invade was during Trump's administration. I said this before, and we're not going to get back into it, but Trump is Putin's puppet. He didn't have to invade because he was getting everything that he wanted. Trump was going against our alliances. He was threatening to pull us out of NATO. He took Putin's side over his own intelligence agencies. You talk about peace and prosperity. It was chaos. Foreign policy wise, all of our allies hate him. That's a pretty good indication. And economic mediocrity. There was more job growth in the last 3 years of the Obama administration than there was during the first 3 years of the Trump administration. As far as jobs in the economy, even accounting for COVID, the economy grew 2.6% under Obama. Under Trump, it grew 3.5% under Biden. Job creation, 181,000 average under Trump, 272, 50% more under Biden. So yeah, inflation, I'd say 20% of it was Biden's fault. 80% of it was the pandemic, which mangled our supply chains. It's pretty basic, right? There's fewer goods. People have pent up money to spend on fewer goods. Of course, prices are going to rise. So to me, a lot of people have heard this tale before. It's old news. And a lot of it just frankly isn't true. But even if Biden were going to, even if Trump were going to run on the record, that's the best thing to do. But he's so undisciplined that he keeps going off the track. So, I think we'll see what happens. But